Hello and welcome to this video in which we will give a summary on teaching grammar and vocabulary. So you remember from the previous videos that both grammar and vocabulary belong to language systems. It's what we know, it's what we explain to our students and what they can retell. They can tell you the grammar rule or they can tell you the meaning of the word. However, we remember that knowledge has to become a skill. And knowledge is very important. It is the first skill, the first step for skill formation. Also, it's the basis for our kids' success at school. So we really need it. And now we'll review how we form it. So you remember that knowledge is useless if we don't form a skill. Skills are formed with learner-centered approach, and we need to use the language, not just to learn about the language. This is like this dichotomy, to know about the language or to know the language. So also, knowledge helps learners to be involved into the learning process as well as the production. So you remember that production is important, it's the skill formation, and this involvement raises motivation. So if you have time, or even if you don't have time, try to plan this way. Presentation of knowledge, practice, and students' production. So when we talk about knowledge presentation, it is better to use learner-centered approach, of course, but also it may depend upon the lesson and how you see your students. In a teacher-centered approach, the teacher explains, and it is much easier for the teacher. However, it takes lots of energy. In a learner-centered approach, learners study the examples. This is the deductive approach, and they try to draw the conclusion out of what they have seen. So they're trying to elicit, and this approach gets learners involved into the process. And as we just said, it greatly raises creativity and motivation. So when you present vocabulary, we also can have these two ways of presentation. You can either translate and ask your learners repeat after you, or your learners may try to develop their language awareness by analyzing the words, by guessing the meaning of the word. And again, this approach involves learners. So in presentation of knowledge, we use either teacher-centered or learner-centered approach, depending on our learners and what we want to reach in this lesson. So as soon as the presentation stage is over, so you can go to the practice stage. Again, it can be a traditional practice with gap filling, matching, and translation, but you always can add here this learner-centered moment. Your learners may do peer check, they may discuss, they may correct mistakes of each other, and again, it helps them be more involved into the process. At the production stage, learners may either retell something, or you may use this time or this stage for introducing real-life situations and forming a skill. Here you remember that when your learners do the tasks, when they do grammar tasks, get filling, matching, making sentences, accuracy is important here. So you correct them immediately, and this is the time when you are working at accuracy. However, when you want your learners to be more skilled in language, you will probably introduce real-life situations and let them develop their knowledge, let them use their knowledge for skills formation. And again, we talked about 3 types of practice. It's controlled, semi-controlled, and freer practice. If it's controlled, it is teacher-centered and structured, so you do lots of correction here. If it's semi-controlled, let's look at this example. Yeah, so it's already, you can say whether it's true about you, so you complete the sentence, but you also have the semi-controlled moment. And if the practice is freer, it's already the real life situation. And once again, it's very important to correct errors correctly. So when you do this correction at the controlled practice stage, it's the immediate correction. If you do correction at the freer practice stage, this is a delayed correction, because you don't want to interrupt your learner's flow of speech, and you don't want to prevent them from progress. So while we are completing this part on teaching grammar and vocabulary, I would like to remind you that you choose between teacher-centered and learner-centered approach. You remember about the motivation, and you also choose how to correct your learners' mistakes, because this is very important for their skill formation. Thank you.